So the first command we'll take a look at is the line command. So we can access that by clicking on the icon over here, which says line, or you could use the command bar or command panel and start the typing in line, and that will draw a line as well. If you hit escape, like I said earlier, it will get you out of that command. So we're going to click on the line command, and your command line is going to ask you to specify your starting point. So you can just pick arbitrarily anywhere in your drawing workspace, which is the black area. And then you can see that it's actually asking you where your next point is going to be. Now, you'll notice a couple things as I draw this line, and you'll see this in other tools that we draw. If I put my cursor here, you can see the dashed line that kind of extends across my screen, and that's snapping to the X axis. If I bring it up a little further, you'll see that it's going to snap automatically to the Y axis. You can see here it's snapping at a 45. If I come over here, you can see it snaps to that like -45 there. And as I scroll around, it's asking me, where I want my next point. So if you just draw over a little bit and you click, it's going to put that endpoint and it's going to ask you for your next point. Okay. Now that's if you know where you want to go. Now you can also type in some other commands, like you can type in an XY value. So if you happen to want to draw to a particular point, you would type in, let's say, the 1 1. You'd have to know this because this is a fairly lengthy coordinate because I'm in state plane. It would be 11897552, let's say, and then you would do a comma, and it would be 6814268, and then when you press enter, you can see that it snaps right to that particular point. Now, it was where my cursor was because I was looking down here using those coordinates to enter that in. If you look on the command line, you can see that if I made a mistake, you can stay in the command, press U or enter, type in U and press enter, and it will undo that last segment. If you pick S, what it does is it goes into a new point. So if I click a point and I click a point, you'll see that it's actually now starting a new line as I move my cursor away. If I hit C, what that's going to do is continue from the last point. So as I click a point and I click a point, it's continuing that line. And then the last feature you have there, which is close, so I can hit C for close, and it will close that object. And now I have an object, though you'll notice it's made up of individual segments. So if I was to pick a segment, use this middle grip, we'll talk about editing later, but if I move that grip, you'll see that it's no longer connected, right? And you can Control Z, and Control Z will actually undo your last step or your last command that you did. So if I Control Z again, it removes all of that. If you use these tools up here, which is undo and redo, that object will come back. So that's kind of how you get in and out of the object in the command. Now I'm going to show you a few other ways to draw. So again, I'm going to draw a new line, and let's just go ahead. We'll pick the endpoint of that line, and we'll talk about the snaps here in a little bit. So let's say I want to draw a line that is 50 feet at a 45-degree angle. So this is 0, and then this is 90. So what I can do is use the uh, ampersand symbol. So basically it's the at symbol, not the ampersand, but the at symbol. And then I could type in, I want to go 50 feet with the less than symbol, which is actually the angle at 45. And when I do that, it's going to draw that line at a 45-degree angle from 0, which is to the east, right? So now this is 0 again. And if I went 90, it would be 135 if I want to go that way. So I would say that, the at 50 feet again, and angle 45, or not, sorry, 135, and it's going to draw that direction. So whatever angle you want to go, it's always, from 0 being to the east, right? And then I can hit C for close, and I would close that line out. So there's ways that you can be precise when you're entering in your line segments by putting in either XY values or putting in angle and distance. So from an XY value standpoint, I showed you a few minutes ago how you would type in the northing and easting, but let's say that I go here and I want to go from this point an XY value. So if you say, okay, from that point, I'm going to use the at symbol, and I'm going to say I want to go 50, comma 50, and press enter. You can see it's going to go to that point. So it basically drew a line that was 50 feet this way and 50 feet that way, right? It put in that endpoint based off of that system, or that coordinate from this point. So if I was to, basically draw a line from here over to here, and then I'm going to draw another line, from here, and this time we'll go perpendicular. You can see it snapping perpendicular to that line. And then if we go to our measure tool and measure a distance, I can pick this point and that point, and you can see that it's 50 feet, which is what we'd expect. It went over 50 and up 50. So that's kind of how you draw in a line that would be precise, right? And again, the line command, you can start either from the command line or from the toolbar over here. Now, let's go ahead and erase everything. So I'm going to kind of give you a preview of the erase command. And we'll talk about, you should have learned how to select objects. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a window crossing. So I'm picking in the lower right, and I'm holding my mouse button down, going to the upper upper left. And anything that it crosses when I left click again is selected. Notice this didn't get selected because it wasn't crossed or in that box. If I hit escape, it deselects everything like we shown earlier. If you do a window to left click and then draw your cursor down from the upper left to the lower right, everything within that box gets selected. So here we're just going to hit the delete key and on our keyboard, and that will erase those objects. So next we'll take a look at the polyline command.